I'll certainly look, I'll like look for the fault in myself, and I'll consider, you know, I think some part of me I'll consider like, okay, maybe this is particularly for me if I feel like it resonates.
Mhm.
Like, but I wouldn't, they get upset about it.
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes,
Like that you're using psychic powers to know their state and that you're talking directly to them, or
yeah, they put this way. So let's see. Put this way. Um, my point is that if they have some kind of emotion, they project their emotion onto others. That's what I mean. When they have that strong emotion, they think that other people that they encounter, they interact with, they have the similar strong emotion like them too. You
yeah,
understand? And,
yeah,
yeah. So when they listen to but in the same way, they project that kind of emotion toward me and whoever give them the teaching. So whenever I say something that I quote from the Buddha teaching or from the master and so forth, they think that I talk about them.
yeah.
I don't name them.
I notice my mind doing that. I definitely, but I look for if it applies to me, then yeah, I look for like, okay, this it highlights that, and so I start, it brings attention to it, and just acknowledge the reality of the teaching where it's like, yeah, when I'm angry, it sucks, and it can be kind of, it can be tricky to unhook from it.
Yeah.
That's interesting to
Mm,
that they actually express some sort of frustration towards you
I
for the,
think you have that kind of experience with the with your patient too, right? Sometimes you think so?
if they're angry about something, I generally feel they become angry at me. Like I had a patient who just came in, and her husband is going through dementia.
Mm.
And I've known this woman for years. And every once in a while, she has a problem. I treat her, she gets better. But since her husband's dementia has been worsening, she has had the same problem since January, and it's not getting better. Um, and she was like palpably irritated and angry last time. And so I shared with her, my experience of the immediately if I get angry, like I have an old injury in my left leg, my left foot, and it kind of affects up through my lower back. If I get angry, that thing starts hurting
Yeah.
like that. No time delay, just it immediately feels stuck. Once I let go of it, it goes away.
Hmm.
And so she kind of connected the dots and saw that, yeah, she'd been pretty frustrated with her husband because he'll keep asking her the same question.
Mm.
And it's understandably like, it's probably more than just anger. The anger is probably preventing her from feeling something else. But I've experienced that a little bit.
Yeah, so that's why here the Buddha say that whenever we think about earth, water, whichever we manifest themselves or together with other elements on our mind, right? We when we have that kind of emotion, right? We project ourselves, our emotion onto others. And again, of course, it's illusion. That's unreal, untrue. So uh, uh, I think we deal with those kind of people in the daily basis, we don't recognize much, right? Like you say, if they're so angry and they walk into your office, so they may project or they may dump that type of energy, or you could feel that kind of negative energy towards you.
Yeah. I get very, I like being like water. I try to accommodate, and then people I know well, I'll ask them. I'll be like, I get the sense like you have some aggravation or some irritation right now. Like, is that true? Like, is there anything going on? And usually when I feel it, they'll acknowledge it, and then it's not towards me as much.
I see.
then it kind of dissipates it when they can acknowledge it and talk about it. But I imagine a lot of people feel, probably myself included, feel like they wouldn't want to acknowledge that with you because of your position of being someone like perceived as holy. And I think most of us don't want to show our faults that openly. And so would maybe try to like kind of hide it more in some ways. Yeah.
Okay. Again, that's why we give the problem to ourselves and others all the times. Anyway, so thank you. Yeah, we move on to this one, please. Go ahead. Yeah.
Expounding the common source of delusion and enlightenment to sum up the intermingling of phenomenon and nomenon. Purna Maitrayani Putra, because you cling to form and space that displace each other in the Tathagata store, the latter, in accordance with your karma, manifests as space and form, which pervade the whole Dharma realm. And as a result, there appear within it the blowing wind, still voidness, a bright sun, and dark clouds. Due to their delusion and perplexity, living beings turn their backs on Bodhi and cling to sense objects, thereby giving rise to troubles, klesa, with the resultant appearance of illusory forms. So I think like I experienced this as if I have a problem and I let go and I sit down and follow my breath and allow thinking to slow down, and the problem will go away. But if I stay engaged with thinking and I just turn it over and I'm attached to like really the forms of it and of future and past, and if I stay engaged, the problem remains and I can't really figure my way out of it. So to me, that's kind of analogous to like this attachment of space and form, and basically attachment to distinctions. When I let go of holding distinctions, then my mind naturally returns to a freer state, and it gradually becomes freer and freer. But then when I pick distinctions back up, it gradually becomes more and more bound.
Like when have the muddy water, right? If you keep there, if you just let the mud settle down, right? Eventually, the water be clear on the top and the bottom. Of course, you see the mud now. But the more we stir up, right? The more we stir up the dirty water, the more it's muddy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a perfect analogy.
The more we think, the more crazy we are. The only thing we need to do is just let them go. That's all. It's so simple. It's so simple, but it's not easy for most people, and even they have this kind of understanding, but not easy for them to let go. Not talking about so many people, they get stuck with that.
It's because like I think because we're so used to trying to do something that the actual letting go, when we think we're letting go, it's like if you ever had something sticky on your finger, it's sticking to it, and you try to take it off with your other finger and it gets stuck to that finger, and like you can't, like it's so hard to kind of take off because it keeps getting stuck. It's not a perfect analogy because it's not going to fall off if you just let go. It's sticky, but it's like that trying to make it stop keeps it going. And so the like getting the disengaging, the shifting to neutral, like the not even trying to let it go, like letting go of trying. I think that's the trickiest thing. Like once people get that, and then like we practice daily, I think we make that connection that, okay, this is what I need to do, like, and understand how to let go. Then it's just a matter of if we do it or not. You know, if we stay in the story of it longer, or if we don't. If things get bad enough, I think we're kind of forced to let go.
Yeah, it's not easy, especially people in the West, where they get used of uh, accumulating, whether in the physical form or whether it's the mental form, right? They just want to accumulate. They just want to bring in to collect things, right? They don't want to let go.
We just moved houses. We have way too much stuff. The move was so hard.
Really?
Yeah, and it's like there are things I don't want to let go of. It's like a fish tank. But
Hmm.
I don't want to let go of it because I feel like I don't want it to just go in a landfill, you know? I want to hold on to it because maybe I can use it for something later, you know? Maybe it'll have a use. But
Easy.
yeah.
That's why I think and whether I know I told you yet. So many years ago, when we still have the temple on the New Cut Road, you were there, right? Did you come to the temple on the New Cut Road? Just
In Louisville?
Louisville, just 5 minutes away from the new temple.
I don't think so. I think I came after the new temple was built.
Anyway, so there's one young man. He came to that temple and meditate with me.
Oh no, I did once. Sorry, I did. We did Avalokiteshvara, the Great Compassion Mantra. We did the 108 repetitions
Okay. All
in
right.
Louisville. We did that once there, yeah.
Born before your daughter was born, or what?
Oh, way before. Yeah, this was like I think back when I was in high school.
Okay. Oh, you visit the center on the new cut already? And when
It was in Louisville. It was a center in Louisville
oh,
back when I was in high school. Like,
mm.
yeah.
Yeah, anyway, so one young man he came after meditation. I told him to let go of everything. Even his own thought, he say, "Wow, so strange." Whenever he goes somewhere else, most of the time people will say that you need to learn more. You know, right? But so I reverse the pattern, tell him to let go
Hmm.
instead of to take in, and then instead of learning more, right? I told him to let go. So he's that's why he's so surprised. I told him that. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's the Buddhist approach, right? The more we let go, the easier for us to move on. Otherwise, we get stuck all the times. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so mm, okay. So due to the conclusion and person on the back sense of okay, and where you were reading this power up, I was thinking about in the West they say that the universe starts from the black hole, right? What do you think?
Um, I thought it was, I
Bang,
didn't, I might not be as up
bang.
to date. Oh, the Big Bang, yeah. That
That
there's like, it certainly poses questions that are hard for maybe some physicists think they understand it, but it's it's like there was nothing
mm-hmm.
and then there was a big explosion. So it's like there's still a big question there. It's like, well, how did the explosion happen? But yeah, that's the idea that it just there was some they call it a singularity and then it.
Mm-hmm. So they put this way, they focus on the form. The Buddha focus on the mind. And even in Taoism, they say everything starts from emptiness, right? From emptiness is have two, black and white, yin and yang. From yin and
Mhm.
yang, go to a possibility. Yin and yang, right? Within yin, we have yang. Within yang, we have yin and so forth. That's the four. And it's multiplied out. It's like the egg of a person, right? Is
Mhm.
in the union with the sperm, right? To create the cell that create the human. Without the sperm of the fathers, without the egg of the mothers, the other singular is nothing It's nothing there. But when they come into union, that's why they have a degraded life. So basically, they focus on the form. They don't discuss much about the spiritual part of life. And here Buddha mentioned, like in the 7 elements, right? Yeah, the water, the earth, the wind, and the fire. So they are physical form, right? And but the word add on, now the 3 elements, the spray, the thinking, the view, and what's the last one?
The consciousness.
The consciousness. So that means it's more rounded. That more inclusive for the form and the tangible object and the intangible object. So in science, they just look for the tangible object. They just see that everything come from the Big Bang, somehow blow up everything and create the universe. But of course, in Buddhist view, one universe, one planet die, another planet created. So, but and this is just the cycle. No matter whether it's one universe to universe, one planet to planet. So it's just normal in the natural way. They create and die out in natural way. That's our karma that we hook up with them. And also again here the Buddha has mentioned that this is the also come from our Buddhi, the pure mind too. Anyway, so it's very interesting, right? It's deep into our mind, right? Just blow the mind. Still oneness, bright sun and dark cloud. Yeah. I remember, I think the story of the Sid Patriarch when he listened to 2 monks, remember? The wind and the flags, remember that story?
Yes.
So he said that your mind is moving, not the wind, neither the wind nor the flags. Both of your mind were moving. So in the West, unless they study psychology, they would not recognize the mind is moving, right? This is what here. That's why when we mind are moving, we drain everything. When we have emotion, strong emotion, we raise all kind of problems. When we have a lot of thinking, we raise a lot of things. Anyway, so so you think is that the reason why the Buddha focused on everything's made from the mind?
Well, I think whatever could help people be free from their suffering and that's going to be in line with like the law of how things work, and language is going to be limited in its ability to help us understand that ultimate law. But it to me, like, yeah, it makes sense that I mean, it really seems that how could consciousness not be involved with matter? Because like looking at our physical bodies, all of the stuff that needed to happen with matter in order for our physical bodies to exist, like the different elements that had to be formed, and that how water had to be formed, and the planet had to be here, and it had to be the right distance from the sun. There are all of these very specific events that our physical bodies were dependent upon. And it would seem that like consciousness would have to be involved in that for it to all work out the way it did, for there to be this platform for this human consciousness. So Yeah, and that old question of like what, if a tree falls in the forest, does it make a sound? Where we only experience because of the mind. We only talk about the existence of things because of the mind.
Mm.
So without the mind, there's not even a conversation about existence.
Mhm. But somehow most people they focus on the form, the body. They don't understand much about the mind. That's why Western psychology they love Buddhism, Buddhist psychology in this way. Even let's say uh, the doctor say, "Wow, if you eat certain type of food, you're smarter," but they don't recognize that yes, that type of food can help them to be smart, but this all kind of elements, all kind of conditions that involved in that kind of mm, obtaining the knowledge, right? Like if they can consume the food alone, if they don't want to learn anything, there's no way. There's no way for them to develop the wisdom. So it's all kind of causes that create that kind of condition. Not one cause. And important is that they miss that one, the consciousness that what you mentioned about. Mm. Yeah, that's why hopefully later on the later generation they learn bit by bit and recognize us, especially in they apply in medical field, right? Mm.
Hmm.
So when we talk about
Yeah.
last time we talked about some lady they are pregnant, right? So the doctor can see the progress of the fetus, but they don't know much about the consciousness or mentality of that child developing through the times.
Yeah. I,
Mhm.
I have a pregnant patient who just saw me, and she had an issue with vertigo since she was young. And when I feel her head, I can feel things kind of like stuck over here. And so
Mhm.
we treat, and it opens up and it's flowing better. And the vertigo got way better. Um, but in her face, her nose is strongly deviated towards her left.
Oh.
So it's almost like when she was in utero, like she had a hand there, or she had like something was pressing against. So I think there are all these things that can get set up at that point when we're younger. And yeah, it seems logical that there could be a way to modulate those risks through the status of the mother.
Mhm. Okay. Wow. Anyway, okay, so that's great then. Uh, so okay, so we can stop here today, right? Mm.
Okay, sounds good.